What I do is I make people face things they don't necessarily want to face. But I think everybody's had these, you know, experiences of feeling alone or feeling misunderstood. They're the sort of things that I work on. But it's not conscious. I don't sort of think, well, I'm now going to do a painting about somebody that feels... I just sort of think, well, I'll just see where this takes me. Up here. I'm a bit tired this morning, I don't know.
I know, did you sleep?
No, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning again. It goes so quickly. The 3 hours or 4 hours till 7 o'clock. It's always by.
I bet you did sleep.
What else was I thinking about that I had to do? I'm sort of excited, but... Hi, Eve. Hello. Nice to see you.
Hi. Yeah, Sam.
Hi, Tim. This exhibition, which are all my paintings, is also going to incorporate this room. And
it's like walking into a painting.
It is a bit. I mean, you become, like me being in here, I'm now the subject of my painting, without having to do a painting of me. Do you want a coffee, Tim?
Yeah, please.
Oh, it's a little bird inside.
Oh my goodness, it's a little robin. You were in here the other day, weren't you?
How'd you go? Come on. How'd you go? Come on. Quite nice, that little bird in there, isn't it? Making such a difference when that room's out of the studio. In a way, it's taking up space from painting, you know, because I need that sort of space to think about my painting. Ecological coffee. Oh, there we go. Let's move that painting out the way, Steve.
So when are you doing that work, the red on the red?
I'll be doing that later on today.
All right.
No, that'll take me about a month to do that painting.
Yeah.
I mean, it could take me 2 weeks. It just depends. It really is, you know, sometimes it can happen very quickly and then other times it...
We're set.
Okay, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you very much.
Right, lovely.
See you soon.
I was born in Australia, in Melbourne. My mother was an actress and my stepdad was a theatre director. My mother was in the role of Nora in a Doll's House, directed by my stepdad. Everybody was saying, "You're marvellous," she was brilliant in the performance, actually. And she thought, everybody said, you have to go to London. You should be acting in London. So we got the boat from Melbourne and we came on the Oriana in 1963.
Is it all right if you want to turn it round?
We're clearing the back wall so that we can put the big red painting there so that I can, you know, so I can paint on it. And then we're going to sort of try and get some of the paintings out that I want to refer to, which I like having around me. Put it on that bit of wood. I think this is very much about arriving in England for the first time from Australia when I was 9. And really what I remember most vividly is the snow, which I'd never seen before. And it was this thick because it was 1963, the worst winter ever. And we had little thin shoes like this. Because Australian winters are not the same. They're like now, autumn. And anyway, we got to this house where we were meant to stay, and this window went up, and this woman said, "There's been a terrible mistake." Never mind, she said, "Come upstairs, I'll give you a cup of tea and an omelette." So we went upstairs. She was flicking through the phone book like this to find a hotel for us. And I just saw that this little girl had this beautiful doll's house and all these toys and comfort and a cosy little interior, and it was all very nice and civilised. And we went out, it's so sad, isn't it? We went out into the cold again, into the taxi to a really grim hotel. And the only thing I remember about that is the wallpaper. This is why the wallpaper's everywhere. The wallpaper, it might not have been, but I seem to think that it was flock wallpaper. It was so evocative of luxury, the flockness, the sensuality of it, but in these rather grim bed sits. So the wallpaper is very much about both of us, in a way, being in our own little world of dealing with it. And I think when people go through something, they tend to be quite self-enclosed. They're not really, they're not sharing, there's not an arm around, it's just like coping. So in coping mode. So I don't know what I felt. I don't even know whether it was me or whether it is me. It isn't me anymore. It's just a memory, of some kind of a glimpse of something. Probably less compassionate about my mother here. I'm seeing her more sort of tough and rather, well, she's having to be really. Having to be quite tough. But it's really the relationship on a broader level, from a, more kind of open level. It's really about the relationship between a mother and a daughter, and also the idea that a mother is having to sort of survive, and she's got a career, she's sort of a contemporary woman, and that daughter or that child has to sort of fit into that scheme of things. So, I don't know why I'm doing this at the moment. I think I'm doing this because my mother reaching a certain age, in her 80s, and at a certain stage you hope you reach some kind of compassion and understanding about your parents, because they're just people. I've always been intrigued by automata. These are all things that are inspiration, actually. When you look at them, you sort of remember where your brain's gone or how it's going. But having these things and listening to that turning around, it's part of me, it's part of my work. It's all part of everything, really.
It's nice here, warm and comfortable. Do you hear the wind?
And in this, my mum's, I got her to record all her most significant parts, really. I just thought that she was the most appropriate person, and I think she enjoyed it.
I've been greatly wronged, Torvald. First my father, and then by you.
Well, I'd normally start painting at about 9, really, ideally. But because of today and the installation being collected, of course, it's messed up my routine. This painting I started last week, and I've done a red undercoat on it. And the next process is I can't decide. I can't decide whether to have, as in the installation, the enormous flowers, so that you get the sense of the figure being sort of almost subsumed by the flowers, or whether to have a plain background. I'm going still through that dilemma in my head. So let's see what happens when I get to the studio. Right. Now I need to look at this a minute. I just want to look at the red. Decide what I want to do. Because once I start on embark on the big black circles ready for the flowers, there's no turning back. So what do I do? Might start with the biggest first. You see, the thing with the painting is if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't do it, would I? If I knew what I was going to do, I wouldn't do it. Because it would be really boring. You know, I don't see me in these paintings, but I see an experience, a past experience of a past self. I'm trying to explore and make sense of my own personal mythology, if you like. You use your own experience as material. I mean, sometimes it's quite nice to go into things where you do feel hurt, as long as it's not too bad. It's quite a sweet sadness, really. I'd have to stop now and reappraise. Anyway, I might like a little moment on my own to just have some sanctuary. It's a bit like meditation, really, you know, you don't do it to an audience. I suppose I should have done the wallpaper, really. I knew this would happen, but I just felt like I had to get into it. So I might have a complete failure today and then have to start all over again tomorrow. That often happens. I'll come back to it, I think. I think I'll just have a break. And then I just need to just get away and just come back in and surprise myself. You sort of get away and then come back in. Oh, shit. come back in a minute. Let's leave it like that. Oh, I should have done the bloody wallpaper. I'll be back in a minute. Be all right. I think an artist has to live with an artist, because I don't think people understand artists, because, you know, that not many people understand why anybody would do this.
I suppose we got used working here over like 20, 30 years to giving each other space when you need it, and then other times having a conversation about something when you need it. And sometimes that works fine, other times, you know, it could be a bit of tension there. So there's a sort of sensitivity, I suppose, and also kind of a practice and experience of knowing how a person makes art and when they need to be interrupted and when they don't need to be interrupted.
Sometimes I like being interrupted.
You can't tell.
In fact, he doesn't often interrupt me, and I want him to.
Sometimes we work next door to each other in the two studios, so if I'm drawing, for example,
very noisy.
in my studio, I find it difficult to work quietly.
Oh, God, he's noisy.
Occasionally, that's fine. Sometimes
Even if he's just doing a drawing, he's as noisy as anything. He just bangs, clatters, and drops things.
I drop paper
like,
and I break the charcoal and I tear bits of paper up.
He won't put. Oh, he won't go like, oh, there's a spoon. He'll just go ka-chum with everything. Like, make sure that it's on the table type of thing. But it's all right. I'm quite quiet, aren't I?
You're very quiet painting. It's surprising because
it's weird. You'd think I'd be hurling the paint and being all emotional, but actually,
well, it's just the scale. Even when you're doing extremely large work,
I suppose I'm emotional, but I'm not noisy with it.
Yes, you work quietly and calmly. I would say.
Sort of intense kind of, and those intense moments is why I probably walked out of that studio, is because the intense moments are very brief. It's a short period of time that you can actually really concentrate like that. We felt a kind of a bond with Wales, I suppose, because my father's Welsh, though I never met him until I was 38. He was from Ceredigion.
Your mother lived in Llanbicarainion?
Yeah, Llanbicarainion. And we had been coming up since I was 18, you see.
And you had made paintings about Wales at St Martin's?
Not much.
Some of them
No,
were.
I never painted about Wales, actually.
Oh, right.
No, that was Scotland. Got red all on your shoe. All right. Wait a minute. That's better light. Well, the mirror is getting very covered, and yeah, I should really clean it. I suppose I just use it as a sort of talisman, really. I sort of look at myself and I'm sort of looking at various aspects like the eyes, where you get like the red here in the eye and then the white, the light shining on it, and relationship of the light hitting the face at different angles. And it's not like I'm looking like under a microscope. God, I'm getting a bit older. Anyway, so think up. It's weird. I can't really explain what it's like because it's not reality and it's not a likeness I'm after. And it's not even a person. It's just something, an essence of something which I recognise in some way, subconsciously or something. You're trying to simulate a kind of essence of livingness, if you like. It can be magical, or it can be a struggle. But it's like you're in a way, you're almost taking away that conscious brain, that kind of consciousness of your head.
Are you looking at the picture or yourself?
No, I'm looking at the picture.
Why do you do that?
To see it back to front.
Why?
So I can see it freshly. So I can see it out of context.
Why does that help?
To see it out of context. Because you want to see how it... it's difficult to explain, really. So to surprise yourself, look at it in a way that... it's not really know to know, explain why, really. Just wondering if I should leave it for a minute. There's something there that I like. I like the vulnerability of the head. I quite like the kind of perplexed look and the persona of her. But, you know, I don't know. And then I'll do another figure, I think. Yeah, this is my space. This is my brain space, if you like. In a way, it's like a very calm place in which to do disturbing paintings.
Do people see them as disturbing?
I think people might, they might not. Do you find them disturbing?
A little bit, some of them. I suppose it's down to the
Everybody brings what they want to it, hopefully. They're quite open enough to make it somebody else's story, or not story, but, you know, interpretation. A lot of people would probably squirm from them. I think probably a lot of people would either loathe them or get something back from them, hopefully. But, you know, if there's one person out there that gets something back from them, then... But that's not why I do it, do I? I wouldn't do it for that reason, to get praise or reformation. I don't... You want to almost upset people sometimes.
Why?
Upset the apple cart. Well, why would I want to do nice paintings, which is going to make people feel happy and reaffirm their sense of everything being nice? I mean, I'm not into that. I'm more into sort of creating a disturbance in what I do. I'm more interested in making somebody feel either empathise or uncomfortable. I mean, it's not my problem. I just do what I do. I think artists are often shaman in a way. They kind of deal with things that other people shy away from. But you turn pain or tragedy or experience or suffering or something like that into something creative. You know, it's a fantastic thing to be able to paint, really. I mean, I love it. I really love painting. That's all I really love coming in here, and I feel very edgy when I'm not painting. I'm not a very good person to live with when I'm not painting. I was a good mother because I had my painting, because I fulfilled myself, and my kids never felt that I was frustrated because I had to look after them. You know, I've always felt that it's extremely important as a human being to fulfill yourself, man or woman. Is it raining? Oh, can I just put my raincoat over my head? If you don't mind. It's a bit wet. glass of wine, do you think?
Go on then, shall we have a glass of wine? Why not?
Oh, cheers, Annie. I went over there, mixed up a whole lot of black, thinking I was going to do circles, and it ended up doing a figure.
Well, I think it's interesting that the flowers have disappeared for a bit. That's good.
So the exhibition, put in your diary, 15th of November is the opening of the exhibition in Aberystwyth. Yeah. I know, I know. I know. Anyway, Mum, I'll talk another time. It's maybe the weekend. Come over for a nice roast dinner or something on Sunday or something. Okay. God bless, Mum. Lots of love to Nev. You've got a big streak of red across your
Oh, I have, haven't I? Look at that.
trousers.
Where'd I
Look
get
at
that
that. Can't think.
from?
Can't think. Oh, I'm just going to have a look at my painting, I think. Ooh. Oh, this door's stuck.
Why do you paint?
Make sense of the world. It's just something I do, really. I've done it so long now that I can't remember why I did it in the first place. I mean, it's just my form of expression, you know. I think I'll leave it now.